Hey guys, welcome to my Ant-Man and the Wasp Ant-Man review. It's been a really long time since I have done a review. I don't even remember what the last one was, maybe Thanos. So I got Ant-Man from Tencent in Hong Kong. No brown shipper, which is fine by me. I haven't even really looked at this figure yet. I literally took it out of the box, set it up, the camera was already there. So I'm going to give you my real first impressions of this. But before that, let me tell you real quick about what type of reviews I like to do. I'm not a super technical reviewer like, those guys with the studio lighting and blah, 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 and they go over every accessory and they love everything. That's not me, all right? I pretty much look at this as a collector, like how does this fit into my collection? And so, like, if there's an accessory that's in there, and I'll tell you right off the bat, like, I'll never use this. That'll be my review for that. I'm pretty straight to the point about it. Looking at this Ant-Man figure, oh, one more thing. You'll notice that I'm using natural light. I like to do that because I feel like it tells you more what the figure will look like on your shelf instead of under those studio lights. So enjoy that. One thing about this figure specifically is that I really like Ant-Man. I think that the first Ant-Man movie is criminally underrated. Not that it's like the best MCU movie, but I think people give it a really hard time. I feel that way about a lot of the MCU movies like Thor 2 and Incredible Hulk. I feel like they get a lot of undeserved hate. And of course there are movies that I do hate if you listen to the podcast. But so I bought that first Ant-Man figure and I sold it for the Civil War version, and then I sold the Civil War version long ago when I saw concept art for this one. One thing I loved about that first Ant-Man figure was the body proportions. He was a little shorter, a little stockier. Why is that a good thing? I don't know if that was 100% accurate to Paul Rudd. I mean, I know Paul Rudd is not super athletic, and he kind of changed his body for the role. But he had a thicker chest in that original figure. He was a little shorter. It made him look visually distinct. So the Civil War version came out and he was too big. I think that was kind of around the time when Hot Toys were starting to make the figures a little taller. Like if you look at the new Iron Man figures versus like the Mark 43, he's a bit shorter. So around that time, like, and that Civil War Ant-Man figure looks more like Giant Man. I've heard some people say that, and yeah, not that he's giant comparatively, but his proportions look like a bigger person. So then we get to this figure, and just looking at his torso, like everything I said about the original is gone. This is so flat. I will say one thing in its defense. This soft body here, because before he had like a big chest and a little bit of beefier, not like superhero muscular, but he was just beefier. Here he actually looks a little flabby, and I think that is more realistic to Paul Rudd in real life. Like I think he gets in shape for the movies, but so okay, I prefer the original Ant-Man body proportions. Truly looking at this figure, I think that the helmet is superior to all previous versions, and I don't miss the wires at all in the back. The metallic red is great, because if you look at my shelf here, just take a look at how much is just black or blue. Just look, like you get some red in Iron Man, but it's mostly black and blue in general, especially for the heroes. Sometimes the villains get a little more colorful, but that's why I specifically collect you can't see it because of the glare, but the Guardians, I like to keep their red maroon clothes on, the Ravager gear. So like this red, I want it to pop, and certain figures I want, just because I like their colors, like Jan Rog is green. I want that green on my shelf. Right now the only green is Hulk. Anyway, so this red, I feel like it's good. It'll break up because I was going to put it on the right side of the shelf here, and because this is like the more realistic side, the more grounded heroes, and like it's all black basically. So that'll be a nice change. So looking at one of the things when I saw the photos, a lot of people are complaining about these shoulder pads. If you had any of the previous Ant-Man figures, the articulation was pretty bad. It wasn't like a Batman figure, but like it was not good. So check him out now. You know, I like that the shoulder pads are a little flexible. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I know there's a gap, but futz it a little bit. Like, close that gap. One thing that I think is atrocious, and you probably already know what I'm going to say, these elbow pads are terrible. Like, in terms of accuracy, I would have been fine if Hot Toys just didn't put them in. Like, this looks awful. Look at that. What the? How does that make it out of the factory? So, that's bad. Let's look. Oh, another thing I noticed right when I put the figure out is they seem to have a different crotch grabber shape. Like, they look a little bit longer as opposed to the normal short ones. But as you can see, and that helps him stand a little bit more centered. As you can see, I've pretty much replaced all my stands with those black oval stands that you can just get them off eBay, pretty cheap. You can get like a pack of 5, pretty cheap. So I do that because I wanted them to kind of stand consistently. Certain ones I haven't done that for, like the die-cast figures. But I will. Like, I left Spider-Man because he's next to Iron Man, and I kept Iron Man stand. And also Doctor Strange because the arms are connected to that. And he's supposed to be floating anyway. But in general, you can see that they're pretty much like on the same height now. So that's good. I likely will do this with Ant-Man as well. It looks like his head is off kilter here a little bit. Alright, let's get a closer look at this guy. Hopefully the camera will pick up some of these details. One thing I always liked about the Ant-Man figures is the eyes inside the helmet. Like, I always thought that was cool. And I think you're having a hard time focusing it. But, and so then there's the batteries. I hate the batteries. I almost never put batteries in. In fact, I don't think I have batteries in any figures right now. The only reason I even bother with them is because if I ever decide to sell it, which like historically has been the case with Ant-Man, I want to be able to tell the buyer that it works or not. Otherwise, I genuinely don't care for batteries. I know some people like to hook them up to lighting, like with wires. I don't want to do that. And like, what am I going to do? Like, you see Ultron over there? You know, he looks dead unless you have his eyes lit up. So if I have a friend over or something and I want to show him, I got to pull that out. And I have to take out that little tool, unbuckle the top of his head, flip the switch on the battery, put it back on the shelf just so my friend can go, oh, cool. And then the battery doesn't even last. Like, it lasts like 3 minutes or something. So it's just not worth it at all. So yeah, I do test the batteries, especially with the Iron Man. I hate doing that because it's such a pain. But I don't mess with batteries. Alright, we've got this accessory which is the laboratory, and I'm not looking at the... I actually think this is a pretty cool accessory. I might display him with this just to give him something to do. I think, is it this that comes off? Yeah. It's got... the hell? Okay. It looks pretty cool and pretty detailed, and this was like a fun thing in the movie, and like, cool. I heard another reviewer say that there are no hands for which you can hold the thing, and I think they're right. I don't see anything. The best you can do is maybe this, so you can't hold it. So that's bad, right? So right now, my actual impressions are, I was already kind of annoyed with the body proportions. In person, it looks a little better to me. I really like the paint. I hate the knee pads. I'm happier about the articulation. The legs aren't much better. And that's barely an ab crunch. It pretty much like goes back. So if you were going to do like a running pose or something. By the way, does anyone want them to make Yellow Jacket? I wish they would do that. I'm surprised like no third party has attempted. Yeah, so I love the helmet. I love the eyes underneath the helmet. It's better than what I expected it to be. I'll say that. Because right now I was thinking I was going to do this review and then look to sell it and maybe rebuy the original. But I had the original and I actually went back and watched my review of it. He barely can move. And so the body proportions are nice, but also the Paul Rudd head sculpt, the like face underneath the helmet on the original, it's good, but the likeness is really helped by the fact that you don't see his whole head. So then you had the Civil War head sculpt, which was, it looked like Ben Affleck. I tried to rebuy it, rebuy the head, and there's none available. I think it's because that Civil War version just didn't sell well, and people who did buy it aren't selling the head sculpt. But I did buy like a third party one that's a recast, so it's actually out for delivery. It wasn't here in time for the review. But I might put that on there. Still, we know it looks like Ben Affleck on there, so I'm not super crazy about that. If you want to check my Civil War review, I did compare that one to the original Ant-Man. I don't have any of them anymore. So now we're talking about this head sculpt. Okay, in hand, it is better. And this is what I mean with the whole natural lighting and the studio lighting. Like, you look at these close-up, well-lit pictures, like studio lighting, and they really sometimes hurt the sculpt, which is fine. Oh, god damn it. I think he's fine. Yeah, he's fine. They hurt the sculpt. And in this case, like looking at it a little naturally, and depending on where you put it in the detail, like if you can see that Chadwick Boseman sculpt in the back, I hated that sculpt when I saw the pictures. And it's obviously not as good as the prototype, but you know what? From where I'm sitting at my desk, looking at that figure under the detail light, it's really not that bad. In fact, I would say it's good. So, with this Paul Rudd sculpt, I see Paul Rudd. I do. I think that the smiling expression was a complete mistake because he doesn't really have this attitude in the film. He's kind of like he kind of has depreciative humor, like he makes fun of himself a lot, and he's kind of like a smirky, shrugging kind of the guy. He's not like big smiles, like happy-go-lucky. He's not really like that. He's a clown. Like he falls, he gets hurt, like he laughs at himself, but this giant smile, this doesn't remind me of Scott Lang. This is maybe Paul Rudd, but like not Paul Rudd, not as Scott Lang, just like Paul Rudd on the red carpet. I'm not crazy about that. I saw some pictures of the head on here, and to me, it looked absolutely terrible. So I'm gonna try. It looks like we have this this neck piece here, which I have not. I don't even know how this is supposed to go. I think it's supposed to go like that. Whatever. To me it seems like it sits too high on the neck. And I'm noticing now that I really had to push it down, so I wonder if maybe the pictures I saw the person didn't do that. Because I thought it was a giraffe neck when I saw the pictures. I have to move back. you know, that actually doesn't look that bad. It's a little tall. Like his body obviously isn't like that. But I think that the pictures I saw, they didn't push the head down all the way. Probably because there'll be some paint rub, if I had to guess. Like with Killmonger. But Hot Toys does have this problem lately with these giraffe necks. Killmonger was a perfect example. Like, his head is way too tall. Or his neck is way too tall. If it suits the helmet, it doesn't suit the unmasked head. Trying to think who else has that problem lately. It's usually the characters that have like the swappable head. And they end up, the unmasked head has a giraffe neck. I just can't think of any right now. I'm looking at my collection. Yeah, I don't know right now. But, yeah, this giraffe neck. Oh, I think it was Loki, even though his isn't unmasked. Like, he also has a really, really long neck. And Thor does too, but so does Chris Hemsworth. Actually has a really long neck. So this isn't so bad. And to be honest, I am one of those people who prefers to have my characters unmasked. The only problem is with Ant-Man is I really like the eyes underneath. And I'm going to see if I can get good lighting under the Detolf to kind of highlight them. But for now, I think it's time that we took this guy to the display case. And I'm just going to check these. I'm going to check the instructions real quick. Because I do want to see how that neck piece is supposed to go. Alright, alright. God, those elbow pads are atrocious. Okay, I did it right. Problem with this though is it's loose. Like, it feels flimsy. And I'm afraid if I do it too hard, it'll break. Like, it's supposed to go lower. I mean, it was sitting lower when I first did it. Like that, kind of. I don't get it. Attach the indicated accessory to the back of the figure in this direction to complete the look. I am doing it right. Right here. Is it supposed to float like that? I mean, it's not going down. Okay, whatever. That doesn't look good. That doesn't look good. Right? Looks terrible. Whatever. Alright, oh, I forgot. There's always these fun little Ant-Man figures. They didn't put him in an action pose this time. And I wonder if his legs come off. Doesn't seem like his legs come off this time. I mean, the older figures, they used to be really annoying about falling off. I don't know. Eventually you could get it to sit the way that you wanted. I do have some Ant-Man ones still left over for some reason. Okay, let's go to the Detolf. So I had to designate some space for him, for Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm going to put him in that shelf for now. I had a Thor there just as a placeholder. I put Thor down there, and I took my two Spider-Men, and I moved them up there behind Logan. That's the two Tobey Maguires and the two Logans. Eventually, those two will be phased out as well, but Alright, maybe I'll just show you. I'll point it there while I put them in there. Because I want two hands. Scott Lang. God, that smile is awful. I'll give him one of those bumper hands. Actually, I will say that the hand pegs on this are pretty good in terms of swapping the hands. Hot toys sometimes can be very difficult with those. Yeah, that was very easy. He's got this, he's got this. Yeah, right now I'm thinking this is going to be one of those where he keeps the helmet on. Because, like, he just looks like an idiot. Like, why are you smiling so much? Why are you smiling? Like, what pose can I put you in where you're just, like, so happy for no reason? It's not a smirk. It's not like a small smile. He's like, he's a kid on Christmas morning. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? Yeah, I'm about to shrink. So I'm so happy. Like, I don't get it. So this isn't working for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap the head real quick. Alright, so what do we think about this? Like, I actually think this is a pretty cool pose. He looks cool. Step back a little further so you can see him in all his glory with the rest of the collection. That red really pops. Yeah, I like this. I swapped his hand as well. Looks good. Looks terrible. All right, let's look at some concept art. You guys know that I like to do this. So you can buy these art books like from Amazon. Could also put a little Scott right there. You can buy these books. It's called like The Art of the Ant-Man and the Wasp. I have my whole collection, like right there. Some of them are hard to get now, so this is the back. Oh, this is a weird cover. I actually haven't gone through this one yet, so there we go. So that looks more like Civil War. This one. I mean, this type of smile would have been perfect for the sculpt. Just a tiny, tiny smirk. Let's see. Oh, here's some variations. This looks cool, that black and red. That looks cool. I mean, that's basically what we got. I guess the difference is that this, I think it's supposed to be gray still, but it looks black. That might have been really cool. Oh no, this is black with red eyes. It looks a little too evil, I guess. I don't even know why this picture's in here. There's the original. See, even this picture has like, is that from the movie? I think it is from the movie. It has like good body proportions. This one, not so much. It gets lost in like, it looks like a Halloween costume. This one, because of the padding, it kind of loses like that natural shape. But here they are again. I would say that the helmet is better. Like, this is the better helmet. That's not a bad idea, but I'm glad they didn't do that. This could have been cool. If like you just saw his mouth. Showing how it retracts. I think that's it for costume designs. Yeah. Okay, guys. The next review will be Endgame Black Widow, which I actually have. They came together. So I will see you guys in a couple minutes.